Hello, I'm James Matthews-Paul. I'm here with PrintingNews.com at Graph Expo 2016, and I'm here with Kern, Senior Vice President, Business Intelligence Services and Product Planning at Konica Minolta. All the shorter job titles were taken, right?
Pretty much, yes.
It's fantastic. So, KM, I mean, you can't really miss the KM booth here. What do you want attendees to come and find at Graph Expo on the Konica Minolta stand?
Well, really, we've got the full product line there today, but we're really focusing on value-added print and ways to make print relevant in a broader section of the marketplace than just looking at brochures and things like that. We think there's a great opportunity in the area providing added value all the way out to someday, flexible electronics and embedded chipless electronics, et cetera. We think there's a lot of opportunity still.
That's a very exciting area of the market, and I know that we'll talk a little bit about your partnership with MGI in a moment, which is going to tie in with that. But I'm interested because KM obviously has a data-driven approach to several applications in terms of how it's helping customers meet that. Couple of statistics, 34% of internet traffic is now smartphone-based, 46% of connections by 2020 are expected to be machine-to-machine. How is this impacting how Konica is addressing its customers?
Well, a couple things. We use actually big data as we work with our customers, and what we try to do is identify patterns of customer usage and behavior that are helpful to teach other printers about, or to understand why they buy. If you look at today's marketplace, the Adobe Marketing Cloud and other products like that, we are now a data-driven society more than ever, and will be even more data-driven in the future. But the ability for them to take that type of data and some of the things we're doing with customer management type of data as well, and integrate that to provide very customized print. They always said print to the user of one, but you're going to get to the point where it's going to be customized, packaged, personalized for you over time, et cetera. Data is going to be behind all of that. So really the funny thing is, for printers now, you have to really think about IT as much as you think about ink.
And what applications would you say are going to be most affected by that change, the greater insertion of data into our printer marketing?
Well, I think if you look at the business overall, if you look at digital marketing, which is the big threat to print, so to speak, the problem with digital marketing is it's coming to everybody's screen. It's interfering with their daily life, so to speak. If you get retargeted, it's sort of annoying. You look at a car and you only see his car ads for the next 2 weeks. It's still a great medium and it's a great way to connect to customers, but the issue is it gets cluttered. A lot of clutter. We think that value-add print in particular is a way to get very customized and cut through the clutter, because it comes and you look at your time, not inserted in your daily life. So if you look at what comes to your house today, I get almost nothing but high value. You get these car things that are like, wow, how much did that cost to send, and where do they get that data? Because I got 2 kids in college, I'm not paying for that car right now. But if you look at that customization, it creates a value for marketers because they can use their data and reach customers in a different way. And you're going to still need TV, you're still going to need digital, but we see print coming back more and more in the direct mail space, and we think you start seeing more packaging and stuff like that that's customized for users, et cetera. So that's where we really think it's moving.
I agree. I mean, there's something about the physical product that, there are lots of studies showing that younger people now have more of a relationship with print than we might have expected them to.
Well, it's interesting. I read a stat a couple weeks ago that bookstore sales were up 1.9% in 2015 and 6.4% in 2016. And a couple years ago, I mentioned to somebody, I see more people with books on airplanes and less iPads, quite frankly. And I think it's tactile, number one. Number two, I think glare while you're reading, especially on an airplane and stuff like that, is really hard on the eyes, and print is easier. So even going out to our dealer conference in Aspen, there was a couple young ladies right behind me, probably college, both reading novels on paper books instead of on iPads. So I think that tide's turned a little bit. It's always going to be a digital world, but printers have a lot of place in that digital world.
And that's good news when we're talking about particularly, selling printers at a trade show like this. Just focusing on one of those product lines, the Curio line from Konica Minolta. Talk to me about the developments in that space and where you really see that going over the next year or so.
Sure. Well, the Curio is really it's our new brand for high-end production devices. So the first product is actually the CurioJet KM1, which is our B2 format inkjet printer, which has quite frankly been quite a success early on in the early stages of releasing to the market. Then the new product being introduced here, the Curio Pro 2070, Curio Press 2070, is a brand new electrophotographic engine, sort of mid-range EP4 digital print as well. But the whole idea with the Curio is we're branding our entire software and hardware line in that area under one umbrella brand, because we found out our current branding for office products doesn't really fit on a $2 million, 15,000 pound inkjet press. So we're working on that. The next thing we're working on in that area is really packaging. So we showed at Drupa the KMC, which is coming out in a couple of years, a 35 or 40 foot long packaging device. So we're going to expand that brand out and really focus on industrial print as additive to the core graphic communication print we do today.
I think KM is moving into a lot of spaces as well. You know, we obviously saw them move into textile last year with the 3.2 meter machine. You're getting into some really interesting spaces there. So we're talking textile, we're talking industrial, we're talking the KM1 space. Where do you see the biggest growth in the printing market coming from in the next few years?
Well, I think there's a couple things. I think the high value print, we'll talk about MGI I think in a little bit, but the high value print where you're really adding value and a tactile feel to print is very important. But industrial print and labeling, big markets with very low digital penetration today. But it's right for it because you look even Coca-Cola now, every time there's an event or an Olympics or something else, all their packaging changes and it's customized. It gets more and more customized every time. You're going to see that because the cut through the cutter and shelf space and things like that, they're going to see more things we want to stand out. So that's going to move us in a lot of different directions because the market for commercial print is big, but the market for industrial labeling, you get into flexible electronics and stuff like that, is even bigger. And those markets are not really affected by digital at all. I saw a great thing written out front. I've not yet had a digital beer when they talk about why people like paper. And that's really what it comes down to, right? It's the tactile part or it's the physical part of connecting to it. And I think more and more the portfolio of commercial printers is going to spread out into these new areas, and there's tremendous opportunity.
And talking about the new manifestations of physical print, MGI is a very interesting company. So let's talk a little bit about the partnership between KM and MGI and where you see that going. I mean, I saw the AlphaJet at Drupa, and it's a fascinating piece of machinery.
The racetrack, yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, MGI. What's great about MGI? We've been partners for over 20 years. Most people don't know that. They purchased our electrophotographic engines for inclusion in their Meteor series, and also been using our inkjet heads the whole time as well. But they've got some very specialized engineering capability that a large company like ourselves, it's hard to do that. So a few years ago, we invested in 10% of the company, and earlier this year, we acquired controlling interest in the company of MGI. They'll operate independently, but we'll be reselling their entire product line, and obviously, our engineering expertise in some areas with their engineering, we think it's a 1 + 1 = 3 versus a 1 + 1 = 2. But they are mad scientists, and the stuff they do is incredible. You look at their AIS technology on this, where they buy the pixel, they can adjust for skew, paper stretch, and everything else. It's pretty impressive stuff. So we think there's a lot of synergy there, and I think the whole thing will grow much faster than everybody expects.
Fantastic. And if there's one thing that you want people to take away from Graph Expo this year, what would it be?
I think print is alive and well and a high growth market right now. If you take the time and invest in the right technologies, and the other thing to realize is you're going to have to be IT centric in terms of how you drive your business in the future. That's going to make all the difference in people's ability to react to changes in the market, to deal with things like the marketing cloud and all these things that drive digital activity, and how you integrate with that is going to determine success or failure in the future.
Kevin Kern, those are great observations, great advice. Thank you very much for joining PrintingNews.com.
Appreciate your time.
Expo. Thanks.
Thanks. Good to see you, man.
Thanks.